Pat, that last event was a bloodbath.
It was.
Right?
Every time we chat, it's the same thing.
We saw this brutal combination, the sleds and the running, and not very many people finished that heat. Have you done any workouts that are like the sled running combination before?
Yes. Like I've done a little bit of sled and run work before, but it's harder when it's, I mean, everything's hard in competition. That was, you max effort the sled and then you have to try to run and race, right? The only other time I would have done that is probably in the snail event at the games, and it's a lot different than a sled push. It was just a very different setup all around. This was like a slow sled, low to the ground, really sticky, and I think everybody thought the sled was going to glide a little more than it did. So the sled took way more out of people than they expected, and probably twice as much time as everyone expected. So,
what's going through your mind when you first hit that sled and it basically doesn't move at all?
People were telling me that did it earlier that you had to attack it really low because of how sticky it was. And I mean, I figured it would be sticky, but I didn't listen as much as I should have. And I hit the sled and just nosed it in right away. And that was a huge reality check. So I think I pushed it like maybe 50 feet off the start, and I immediately changed my game plan because it was hard. It was sticky. Like, I mean, at this point, I don't have the legs to grind out a long set, so I sort of switched my strategy to do short bursts and quick breaks, and try to keep on a clock and keep moving.
What's that run feel like after you finish that first sled? Because the sled goes down and back, so it's not a short distance you're pushing that thing.
Yeah. You ever done a salt bike sprints? Yeah, that's what it feels like. You basically, the second you drive that sled in and park it, and you have to round that first corner, you're like Bambi on ice. Like, you can't even stride out for the first 100, maybe 200 meters. You're at the other end of the football field before you actually can lengthen your stride out and move. So it's super awkward, and frankly, everyone probably looks super embarrassing. And like, that's just the way it is. It's funny, you watch the guys in front of you and they all look the same. And everyone looks just as stupid. So,
has it been an experience of yours here where people are kind of recognizing you and wanting to like take pictures and hang out and like kind of congratulate you over how you did at the games?
A little bit, yeah. And I mean, depending on who it is, I have mixed emotions about it. Because my thoughts on the matter are that if I'm competing against you, you probably shouldn't come up and want a picture with me. You should be trying to beat me. And I mean, that's just sort of my mentality. And it's super nice, and it's great. I'm happy to do it with people, but this is where I was this time last year. I was them, and it's so like I've kind of told people that I'm like, look, like this is a good competition. Like the field is deep. Just because there might not be a ton of games athletes here this year, it doesn't mean the top 15 in the field aren't knocking on the door this year. So it's a good field, and it's a good thing, and people can't, I think the second you sort of do things like that, you might count yourself out of events. And like, I'm not smoking anybody by any means here. Like I've had an average day at best today. So there's some good athletes, and it's interesting. It's definitely a very different experience than last year, but it's fun. I mean, it's a fun competition here. So.
What was last year like?
It was good. I mean, it was a different competition as well, event-wise. There's a lot more sprints and like less grinders like that you really feel for a few days. So it was cool though. It was fun. Like, I had a good time. I think it benefited me hugely for the year, having a chance to compete against a bunch of games athletes and see where you stack up, and just getting that kind of intimidation out of the way, being like, oh, I belong in that field, and I can compete with them in a lot of different events and beat guys in events. So I think it's good. So for anybody else that's in the field, like, beat me. Like, don't take a picture with me. Come beat me in an event, because that's where it starts.
Nice. Well, you have another event tonight that's going to be, I think, a lot of fun to watch. I don't know how fun it is going to be to do, but...
And it's short. It'll be more fun to do than that last one. But we'll see. I know we have heavy-ish snatches at the end, but they're going to be heavy tonight. I can tell you that. I'm a little concerned. It's going to be the nighttime event with a big crowd, and I'm a little concerned I'm not going to hit a snatch. But I'm sure it'll be fun. But it'll be a fun event. We'll get the crowd going. It'll be a good time.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you later.
Yeah, you bet.
Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.